This morning's guest was born in Bruce Hospital and is now the director of the Bruce and Lee Foundation Library. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Doctors Bruce and Lee Foundation Library, the headquarters for the Florence County Library System. We're visiting with George Hobeika, the library's director. Good morning, George.
Good morning. How you doing, Greg?
Thanks so much for letting us in.
We're having a good time.
We had a great time with Scotty, obviously on Monday, kicking off the week on Valentine's Day, and of course we'll wrap up the week with Tom Marshall. But to break the week up, and tomorrow we'll be with Elizabeth Caldwell, one of your reading library advisors,
yes,
which we're very excited about, but wanted to make sure to get the opportunity to get with the director, someone who's been here, I believe now, 31 years?
That is correct.
Which is amazing.
I started here right out of library school, and I was a reference librarian, technical services librarian, and interim director twice, and now I'm the director.
Golly, an interim director at two separate occasions.
That's right.
Are you originally from the area, George?
I was born at Bruce Hospital across the street from this library in 1949.
Is that right?
Right, and my parents were here, and I have a brother and a sister. My sister is here now. And I also have had some cousins here and aunts and uncles. My father's people came from Beirut, Lebanon.
Huh. Golly, and how did he end up in Florence?
I don't really know how they ended up in Florence. Of course, they came in at Ellis Island and came down and spent some time in Norfolk. He has had family in New York City, Manhattan, and also a lot of his brothers were at the beach, Myrtle Beach, and in Dillon, and in Florence.
And your mother was a Palmetto State native, or?
She was from Union County, North Carolina, up there, Monroe.
Yeah,
right
Monroe.
Below Charlotte.
Sure.
And she had a sister who visited the cemeteries in Union County, North Carolina, and did a compilation of Union County cemeteries. And then I had an uncle that was a amateur historian who wrote on my father's side, even though he could speak minimal English when he came to this country when he was about 10 years old.
That's fascinating. Golly, and of course you all have ended up here in your birth, I hate to put a year on you, but 55, 56 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
And particularly with the significance of the Doctors Bruce and Lee Foundation here in the library, and to know that you were born in Bruce Hospital. That must be exciting.
That's exciting for me. And one of our local benefactors, Mr. Nick Ziegler, who's a very prominent local historian and attorney, the South Carolina room, the South Carolina History Room, is named in his honor.
Is that right?
That's right.
There's quite a few parts of the library we want to talk about this morning. Of course, again, we'll have Elizabeth in tomorrow to talk a little bit. Scotty Davis, who kicked off the week, was talking about an event that was held here last night, the advertising workshop from 6 to 8 p.m., which will go on every Tuesday for much of the rest of the month and into March. So,
well, that's good. That's good. Our meeting rooms are being used. Yesterday morning, we had about 6 meetings going on at the same time.
Is that right?
Right.
That is tremendous. Well, when you visit the facility, when you just come in for the first time, as we see behind us a good shot from of the front of the library, it's difficult to sit in any location in the library and not have a feel of the significance of 83,000 square feet.
Right. It's very imposing architecturally, and some of us have to pinch ourselves when we come up, driving up to it, because we still think of it as a mirage in the desert.
I bet you do. You know, as I was reading a little bit about you and trying to prep a little bit for this morning's interview, hearing Mayor Willis talk about the former library, the one that I believe was constructed in 1925, and wanting to make sure they maintain it and nurture it and do something to keep it around. Obviously, when you think about a facility like this, when you think about the two together, having spent so much of your life here within the library system, it must be magnificent.
Right. This place is is wonderful. It's phenomenal. It's a challenge. Every day is a challenge and an opportunity. And the library staff was sort of apprehensive about moving into this facility because of the sheer size, but most of our fears have waned. We really have it. We have a good time here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very enjoyable work day here, and we enjoy our public, and we enjoy the children especially, and we enjoy seeing all of the diverse groups of people who come to search the internet, who come to use the meeting rooms, and who come to find a book,
Right.
and to look at a newspaper.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw you all have space for more than 250,000 books.
I'm sure we do. We probably have space for 400,000 books. Is
that right?
Right.
You know, it's so exciting, and oftentimes it can be imposing even for the public. And I know y'all's focus is really as public servants to serve the entire area.
That's right. All of the citizenry of Florence County. You know, public libraries are one of the most, if not the most democratic of institutions, because you reach every level of the constituency of the public in a public library, or that is our mission and our focus.
And because of that, at times you can imagine how seeing a structure like this, it's almost difficult for some members of the citizenry to feel comfortable, as if they're almost afraid to go in something as large and as ornate, potentially. And I know you all have tried to keep it as simple as possible in many levels to make sure that everyone felt it was their library.
I am always complimented when I get a phone call like the one I got last Tuesday night, and this lady who obviously was not a PhD commented about how proud she was of this edifice, of this public library, and her concern was that the clock out front, donated by the Rotary Clubs of Florence, was obscuring the view of this facility. And so I appreciated her call and I thanked her. But I was so touched that obviously we have reached some of the social strata that ordinarily we would not have reached. So I really appreciate it. We want this to be open to all people, and we want to welcome everyone into this public library for public library use.
And I'm sure glad you mentioned a call. If a viewer needed to get off to work or to school now and lives here in Florence County but hadn't yet visited the library, is there a number for them to call to check out library hours if they got to run off to school or work now? Is there a good main phone number?
It's area code 843-662-8424.
Okay, and for our viewers throughout the PD in southeastern North Carolina, obviously you're open to everyone, but as it relates to checking out books, is that only for Florence County residents?
For a $15 non-residence fee, one may check out up to 3 books at a time for 1 year.
Okay, so $15 a year, non-Florence County residents could come in. Folks could even travel in from the beach or anywhere, the Midlands, to be able to experience this amazing. Is this the largest library in the state, George?
No, sir. Not in square footage.
Okay.
It is the finest constructed edifice, I think, of libraries in the state, of the public libraries.
I'm sure.
In fact, the Drs. Bruce and Lee Foundation gift of $10.5 million is maybe the largest monetary contribution towards a public library in the United States, I think.
Huh. That's an interesting
The only possible alternative, I think, was Harvard University, one of the buildings of the library at Harvard University, if I recollect correctly.
You know, so many families recognizing the value of public libraries. I mean, that would be something I'd be surprised that more libraries, public libraries, hadn't gotten big funds, big sums of money. $10.5 million is a heck of a lot of money, obviously, but when you think about it in major cities, but that's tremendous. I'm excited to hear that. How about if someone was visiting the library for the first time, George? Someone was driving in and they Can you give the viewers a sense of what all, I know it's difficult with, so, of course you've been throughout the entire facility many times. 83,000 square feet is a lot of footage, but for someone visiting the first time, what are some of the major aspects of the library they're going to see, and how will they experience that? I mean, what?
Well, now we have, this is how I explain it. We have an acre on each floor. We have 2 floors. One would come in to the front door, and to the left would be the main meeting room, which seats 186 people. And also to the left of that would be in the corner of the founder's room, which is very ornate and plush, and where the Drs. Bruce and Lee Foundation has their monthly meetings on the 3rd Tuesday night. Behind that would be behind the scenes stuff like the circulation workroom, where we hold books for the public, where we put books and videos and other materials to be reshelved. And behind that would be the children's program room, where we have a built-in puppet stage, which is unique to this public library, in the wall, puppet stage, and it seats 65 persons, and maybe you can get more little children in there than 65, and it has been very well used. I think the Junior League is doing some story times on Saturday mornings, some in there. We're very pleased about that. And behind that is the Extension Division, where you have book stacks and video stacks for the branches, where if someone in Johnsonville requests a book, a John Grisham book, if Johnsonville doesn't have that book, we pull that book and put it on the shelf, and we have a courier who goes out twice a week to the 5 branches to pick up materials and to deliver materials. And also, that would be the Extension Division. And then the children's workroom area, where they have supplies for doing crafts, like they did something for Valentine's Day. They had some kind of a program for Valentine's Day, I'm sure, in the children's room.
A couple of days ago, yeah.
Yes. Now, then you come out in the public area. We have a nursing room in the children's room, and we have their own restroom for the little children. We have computer terminals. I think it's about 16 public internet terminals for the children to use, separate from the adult computer internet terminals on the 2nd floor. To the left, it's going to be to the left of, to the right of that, you'll find our main fiction and paperback section, a reader's advisor desk, and Elizabeth Caldwell will be on your program in the morning, and she's a reader's advisor librarian too. She's right out of library school, but she's very capable, and she's a reader's advisor librarian. If somebody comes in and says, I want a book about World War II in Germany, she can deliver a book about World War II in Germany.
Is that right? That's
right.
Her specialty.
Yeah,
we'll have to talk about that tomorrow. That's great.
Now, we have current periodicals down in the reading area. We have comfortable seating. We have a new bookshelf, nonfiction, fiction. We have books on tape, shelves, and we beefed up that collection since we got into this building. By the way, our circulation, that is the checking in and checking out of books, is up between 1/3 and 1/2 since we opened this library.
Is that right? That's tremendous.
So we do have increased use. We do have 3 full-time sheriff deputies and some off-duty police officers who work here on nights and weekends, and we're very thankful for them because they're very professional. They're duly licensed and certified, and if they see someone who is in trouble, they help them, and they are trained to know how to help the public. They assist elderly people who have trouble getting from the parking lot inside, and assist them back to their vehicles and that kind of thing. So we're blessed that the county, in its wisdom, added the 3 deputy slots full-time to my budget for this present year.
Absolutely. There's also sizable security needs as well. I mean, not that you would necessarily expect to have big security issues, but you all have some very valuable books inside the facility.
That's right. We have a Mark Catesby, which dates from 1771 in the South Carolina History Room vault. And we have 2 volumes. It's not in the best condition because we just now have a South Carolina room librarian who started in that capacity back in August of 2004.
Great.
And this is a luxury. Now let's go to the second floor. Well, the circulation desk is on the main floor right across from the main stairway.
Mm-hmm.
You come up those stairs, and when you get to the top landing, you see the computer services desk straight ahead.
Let me ask you real quick, George. You said come up the stairs. There's still opportunities for folks who are not stair-bound, who can't use stairs for...
We have a public service elevator on the first floor to the left when you come in.
Great.
In clear view of the security service desk.
Okay, good. Sorry, I just wanted to make that clear.
And we
Sure.
do have a very good camera system, which is state-of-the-art, and one of the deputies or one of the police officers is always studying the 48 pictures on the camera system.
Tremendous.
So
Go ahead, I'm sorry. At the
That's
top
all
of
right.
the stairwell.
at the top of the stairwell, you will see the computer services area. We have 44 adult public internet access terminals, and we have expedited that so it's very easy after you register to go get on the computers.
Mm-hmm.
Copies are 10 cents each.
Great.
And through a Senator Leatherman grant, we were able to get a credit card type system for paying for the card and being able to add dimes to the card when you need to make more copies. So that was a $100,000 LSTA grant through the South Carolina State Library.
Great.
We have 5 small study rooms which are available for the public and 2 large study rooms, and they have been heavily used since we've been in this building. We have a computer classroom behind the computer services desk with 35 internet terminals in it, or word processing terminals. Mm-hmm. You can do either. We have an agreement with Pointer right now that they're going to be using. We're providing the room and technological backup support, and they're supplying the instructor and the materials and registering their students to come use this internet classroom.
That's tremendous.
So this is a pretty large place. I'm going to forget
I
something.
know, it's difficult, of course. Well, so there's so many aspects that you make it user-friendly for children, for adults, for folks of all ages, George, and you surely want to open up the doors to the imagination as much as possible.
That's right. And we are anticipating, as funds permit, new programs down the road. I am well aware that some of the really metropolitan libraries like Richland County and Columbia offer services that we are not able to provide yet because we just do not have the level of funding. I think my budget for this year is $3.1 million county and state money. Richland County's budget for this year is maybe $15 million, something like that.
Is that right? Now, that 3.1 is only applicable to the Drs. Bruce and Lee Foundation Library, even though you're over all 5 of the branches and the bookmobile as well.
No, that 3.1 is for the main library, 5 branches, and the bookmobile.
You're kidding.
So,
George.
I think we are very thrifty with the public's money.
You really are. I can't even imagine. That's fantastic.
So the county in its wisdom has given me the staff that I have needed, and we do, but we're not, I don't think anybody could accuse us of being extravagant.
No, surely not. I think one of the aspects fascinating reading a little about you and about the library was seeing just some of those basic questions that folks would have. What's the power bill like? The cleaning bill? You've got substantial expenses that everyone would have in any type of business, but they're magnified in an 80-some thousand square foot facility.
The two surprises for the county and for me have been the cleaning service bill. The cleaning company did decide to give us a 20% break, but the first couple of bills were $10,000 a month.
Wow.
And so now it's down to about $8,000 a month for the cleaning service. And they come in here every night, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 until 1:30 a.m. and clean. And almost daily, a staff member will point out to me something that needs to be touched up, and I have to call them. And one wonderful thing about them is when we're closed, like during the Christmas holidays, they'll come in here on one of those days from 9 a.m. and refurbish the place and wax the floors and touch up the bathrooms and all for us.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been real good about all of this. The light bill, there again, is another surprise, and it's about $10,000 a month every month.
$10,000 a month, golly.
So, but the county in its wisdom has appropriated enough money, and so I think we'll finish the year in the black.
Yeah, that's tremendous. You know, just as you sit here and look back and think about that, it is such a magnificent structure there, and of course, everyone who sees it must think this is something just taken out of our nation's capital.
Did I talk to you about the South Carolina room?
No, you sure didn't. You did before we started filming. We got about 5 minutes, so let's focus on that, and then we want to talk a little more about the system.
The South Carolina room is very nice. We have our first vault. It's temperature controlled, separate from the rest of the library, and humidity controlled, separate from the rest of the library. And it has been a real drawing card.
Sure.
And as I say, we have received most of the $150,000 that was given for it in honor of Mr. Nick Ziegler.
Right. And what are the primary aspects of the South Carolina room that folks would want to come see?
Well, if you want to do family history on families along the eastern seaboard, or if we have the South Carolina census on microfilm,
Okay.
all the way up to, let's see, it would be up to about 1960, I think, now.
Right, sure.
From 1790 to 1960. And some of this is available online now.
Right.
We have a lot of genealogy materials and local historical materials, especially church histories like the Presbyterian Church in South Carolina, the Protestant Episcopal Church in South Carolina, the Lutheran Church in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We also have information about flora and fauna of South Carolina and hiking in South Carolina and description and travel in South Carolina, you know,
Right.
the various little towns. I have not touched on the reference area. We are working on expensive databases for business, for the business community.
Great.
We always could use more money. We have a very fine boardroom where we're meeting now for this.
For the filming, absolutely. And this is important. I'm glad you mentioned more money. I mean, obviously, you supported the original major gift, $10.5 million from the Drs. Bruce and Lee Foundation, then the county and others wrapping in to make it happen, as well as the $3+ million in operating expenses. Are there other ways that viewers could be a part to help strengthen and continue to strengthen this public service, this county library?
The Friends of the Florence County Library have done a fantastic job. They've raised about $775,000 towards this new facility, and in the last 2 years they've given us $250,000 for books. We're delighted for anyone to join the Friends of the Library. An individual membership is just $5, and a family membership is $10.
Okay, good.
So,
what's the best number a viewer could call?
If you call 662-8424, we will refer you to the Friends of the Library.
Okay, 843-662-8424.
Right.
George, if you weren't currently the director, after 31 years of being with the Florence County Library System, if you weren't the director of the system, what do you think you'd be doing?
I don't really know. I don't know other than that I have a lot of interest in church, and I have a lot of interest in pets, cats and dogs, and I love all kinds of nature. Camellia bushes. I see you have a book over there that you've propped up. That's one of my favorite books. I like all aspects of nature.
And you're a big reader as well?
And I'm a big reader. Yes, I read, but I read more studiously than pleasure reading. That is, I like to absorb in detail books, a few books, rather than read superficially a lot of books.
Right.
I like nonfiction. I was a religion major at Furman University, where I got my bachelor's degree. And I got my master's from Florida State University in library science.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with George Hobeika coming up next. We didn't get to talk about the future of the library, but no need. We're sitting in this amazing facility. Think of that. You can imagine the future of the library as folks continue to walk in and out, 83,000 square feet, experiencing the time here with George over the last 30 minutes. You hear him talk about his birth in the Bruce Hospital, and then the significance of the Bruce family and the Doctors Bruce and Lee Foundation as they came together in 1995 after the sale of the hospital to the Quorum Group. And you think about the significance of a $10.5 million gift to any community project, but particularly to a public service project like a library. George Hobeika's experience of 31 years, just celebrating 31 years last month with working within the Florence County Library System. Think about that. The future is bright. You heard him say it. He didn't know what else he could be doing if he wasn't here, either as the director or working within the library, talking about being with pets, the experiences of serving others. It's recognized in everything he says. George, thanks so much for being with us.